Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show. Bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio. Here's Nick and Matt.
What's up, Nick and Matt Show, people? Nick, we've done this a handful of times, but this time you caught it. We thought we were screaming.
I caught it,
for maybe a minute.
I caught it. So, I was just writing into the chat, but we actually just had about 3 minutes worth of conversation between each other. We brought in Stat Mando. We were rolling, and then I go on YouTube just to check everyone's comments and everything. And my YouTube stream still hadn't started. So, anyways, we're live now, and
we've already done this. Nick, I'm going to try to play it off as if we have not had this conversation. Nick, would you believe it? We have snow on the ground up here in New England.
Oh my gosh.
You're supposed to say you do? No. Okay. Virginia, though, what's the snow situation down there?
We just played an unsanctioned tournament this last weekend, and in the second round, it got up to about 50 to, I think, 51 degrees. So things have been good here during this off season. I actually don't think we've really gotten any snow at all this year.
All right. I feel like we've wasted a lot of time on the intro, but we've just started. It's all redundant to me now. Let's bring in Evan Kern, Stat Mando, everybody. Evan, how's it going, man?
It is going good. Happy to be on for the second time now tonight.
Yeah, right.
Second time for us. We've got a good show lined up. This was the most ever viewers that we've had in our, I'll say, the YouTube waiting room lined up for a live event. And I'm not surprised. We've got Eagle McMahon lined up. We've got Thought Space Athletics lined up. There was a huge announcement in the disc golf world by Simon Lizotte. We're going to talk about that in just literally a minute or two. And so it's great to see. Thank you to all those who are joining live. In fact, there was somebody, and I think it might have scrolled by already, Taylor Banks, longtime listener, first-time live watcher. Shout out to you, Taylor. We love having you in the chat. Isn't it fun? So the show went out recently. We've put up a video about a month or so ago, the Nick and Matt show. We played singles stroke play at a very wooded course. Nick took it down. I got second. And Evan,
Whoa. You got second by yourself?
Tie.
Yeah, you tie with me, my friend.
It was the fashion in which I did it. I made it.
Yeah, comeback kid. Birdie on 18.
So
for what?
We just did it again, but Nick wasn't here. He's down in Virginia. Yep. We're putting that together. We brought in, shout out to Disc Golf Vermont, Chris Young. Chris, I'm going to award that hat you gave me. I'm going to award it to Ben Kenny.
Let's go.
What?
He will get it.
I beat Kern, so.
Yeah, he'll get it because that was kind of the battle. You guys will want to watch this.
Oh,
we gave it away. You'll want to watch how it went down. We'll just put it
down
that way.
To the final hole.
You'll want to watch how it went down. Okay. So let's move off of that conversation, which is fun, but stay tuned for that. It's going to come out. It's going to be entertaining. Simon Lizotte, everybody. There were rumors. There was speculation. I'm not going to tell you everything I knew or didn't know, and neither is Nick or Evan or Ben or anybody else, but it happened. It is shocking to some, and to others, it is, I would say, expected because of how massive the rumors got. I want to pose the question this way. Is this the first sponsor announcement that you can remember, as long as you've been playing disc golf, I guess, where the player seems genuinely, I'll use the word sad, about leaving their sponsor? Can you remember another time? Not the whole, hey, I had a good time there, looking forward to the future. Like, not that. Everyone says they had a good time. We've had that conversation. Like, is this the first one you remember where someone's actually seeming like, I'm not sure. I'm sad. I'm struggling here. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Like, is this the first one you can remember ever?
Yeah, I would say so. When it comes to like such a public level of it, definitely this is the first one that publicly it really seemed like, I wouldn't even say like a sadness of leaving, but more of like I don't know. I can't really think of the right word.
Dude,
but
people are crying over his YouTube video that he posted.
Yeah, it's like when their favorite player gets traded to another team or their favorite player retires or something like that. I mean, I think this is kind of Simon being one of the most favorite people of all time in the sport of disc golf, arguably
He's
I would
not
say
leaving.
one of the favorites.
He's not leaving.
He's not even leaving. He's just going to a different manufacturer. And this is, and we've seen comments go all over the place from, hey, good for you. You got to take care of the family to, hey, you're a sellout. This is the worst thing that you could have done. I'm selling all my Discmania discs. I'll never support you again. Yada, yada, yada. So I don't know. This is kind of a crazy pivotal point in the sport of disc golf when such a high caliber player and someone who you just always have known him to throw Discmania leaves their sponsorship. And kudos to Simon, because pursuing better ventures in life, I think, is something huge. And when a company, he pretty much said this in a video, when a company came at him with an offer that he really couldn't refuse. And he had said, multiple companies had offered him contracts in the past, but Discmania had always been able to, either one up them or keep it level with them. But when you get such, and I don't know the ins and outs of the contract, but when you apparently have such an incredible opportunity, you got to think about your family. You got to think about your future. I mean, he's 30. What did he just turn 30 years old? So play wise, in the most competitive nature of disc golf, he's, like Nate Sexton said it a while ago, he's more towards the end of his career than he is at the beginning of his career, in a sense. And so, not saying Simon's old really at all. I think 30 is still a great age for the sport. But at the same time, he does have to think about, what's the future like? What if one big injury happens? All these different things.
Yeah,
and,
we're
crazy.
We're gonna. Let me just put it this way: he's a friend of the show. We're gonna line him up when the time is right. I mean, I can all but guarantee it. So we'll ask him those questions, but I kind of repose it again. And I don't want to, I'm not making fun of anybody here. If you're crying, that's great. I think emotions are good. It's taken me a while to get there in my life, but I actually like the feeling of those emotions. But what is it that they're crying about, Evan? What is it?
It's just like this bond that you have. And, Simon, Discmania said it when they posted the goodbye, thank you to Simon, is they've grown through disc golf together. Simon was, a young disc golfer still in Germany when he first was sponsored by Discmania, who was a small kind of manufacturer. They weren't making their own discs. They were getting Innova to make it. And they boomed together. Simon became this world-renowned player, winning national tour events and being a trick shot assassin, I'll say. I don't know how best to word that. And then Discmania has grown into the huge brand they've been, where they're, a top 5 company probably now. Mm-hmm. And to get to this point where they've just, lifted each other up so far to then, ride off in the sunset and have this nice, amicable breakup. It's sad. And when I'm thinking, in my height of following sports, and you are just so attached to a player and they end up, retiring or getting traded, it hurts. And I think the only comparison we can make is to other sports. I don't think there's a single comparison in disc golf. We don't get to see players really retire in disc golf. They kind of slowly fade away to irrelevance, as sad as it is. And we don't see these sponsorships really have this kind of bond that we see with Simon. To me, the closest comparison I can think of is like a baseball player getting traded away. And I can think of Troy Tulowitzki. When he got traded from the Rockies, he was their cornerstone player. As random as that is, he was their cornerstone player, gets traded. He's crying in the dugout, knowing that he got taken out of the game because he's about to be traded. Mm-hmm. That's what it looked like to Simon, not that he was in tears, but just the feelings of, hey, this is a new venture. Of course, it's different being his choice, but so it feels similar.
You're seeing a lot of people excited about it too. So I'm bringing up the one that stands out to me as wow. And I think you're making a point. I understand if Simon was crying, in my mind, that's really easy.
Yeah, as a player, yeah.
I'm man, that's a change for him. He has a lot of memories there. And I'm realizing that I think there's two things. Is empath the right word? People have empathy. They feel for others when they're having that. They're watching this video and they're saying Simon is having this feeling. The way he did his video of hanging up the shoes kind of a thing, it's weird because he's not hanging up the shoes. He's not done. He's not shutting the door. He's not retiring. But you can tell there's a feeling of moving on to the next chapter of his disc golf career. And I think people are feeling that for him. Not that they're sad he's leaving Discmania, but they're feeling this emotion that he's feeling, which is great. It's just, I find it really spectacular. I've never seen this in disc golf before. That's kind of my point here. Is everyone who's ever left their sponsor, we talked about this, I think, off the air last week, maybe a little bit on, but everybody is going to just say, they don't want to burn bridges when they leave. So everybody's going to say, hey, It was nice playing with Discraft, or it was nice playing with Innova. Like, a lot of great support over the years. Great. But then they go and they talk off on the side and they're like, it was rubbish, right? Like, that happens. I do not think we're going to see that with Simon. I think this is going to be one of the cleanest. Wow, he left. He wasn't forced to leave. He said in the video they offered him the world. This is him making a choice that sounds like it was tough. So
yeah, I mean, take it the same thing, and I forget who tweeted it. It might have been Hunter Thomas who had tweeted it, but they were saying, who do you feel like has such a connection to their brand and to their disc manufacturer? And it's kind of like Paul with Innova, Simon with Discmania, and you have other players out, Will Schuschik with Prodigy now. I mean, players like that of that caliber. When Paul left Innova, that was, back in 2018, that was the most shocking news that was going around, of just even the thought of Paul going somewhere else with all the discs that he had with Innova. The McPro AVR Destroyers was such, a collector's item now.
But did Paul say, this is so hard for me to leave Innova? I don't remember anything, actually.
Well, I don't think so, but you also got to realize that Simon's really the only one who could have pulled off such a great YouTube video in this sense, because of Simon being just such an awesome, the best YouTuber in disc golf. So I think he was able to pull it off this best way. I think Paul's announcement video was him doing something with Jomez and pretty much just saying, hey, going to Discraft, and they held up a Discraft disc. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe now it'd be a little bit different since his YouTube has grown the way that him and Hannah have both grown it. But for the most part, I think because we see so much, Simon with Discmania, back in the day, Paul with Innova, it's just really weird to see them move on from a company like that.
Yeah,
so.
I think it'd be fun. And I'm not going to put any of these people on the spot. And frankly, our next guest, Eagle, I don't know if you can answer this question, but I think, like, being like, Paul, were you sad to leave Innova? Now, I think he would say, I wish things would have worked out. Like, as in, like, it's not that he ever wanted it to go and deteriorate. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he would have been like, man, like, this is sad. Like,
let's say this, and
I'm
always curious.
I guess I'm saying there's no other player like this. I'm
always curious in this, in any professional athlete. If, let's say, Innova said, Paul, we're going to give you $50 million a year for the next 10 years of your life, and Discraft came to him and said the same exact thing. We will also give you $50 million a year for the rest of your life, or for the next 10 years, however long. Where, do you consider it a loyalty thing of, the company that I've been with for the last 10 years of my career said this, and so now I'm going to stick with them? Or, at what dollar amount do you decide, yeah, I think it's actually worth going to this other company? And I think that's where you hate to go, but at the same time, at this point, these athletes, they have to look at their future. They have to look at one day retirement. They're not going to be able to win, $15,000 or $12,500 from winning the MVP Open. They're not going to do that every single weekend. And in 5, 6, 7 years, they might not ever do that again. And as pay purses increase, but
besides the off chance or the likely chance that Simon wins a world championship, we speculated on this. Does the future of disc golf include 4 Elite Series wins any given year from here on out? And I don't think the answer is yes to that. And so you gotta, I guess you cash in when you feel, and I hate to put it that way, because I'm not speaking for him. This is just like the thought process is like, dude, if there's an offer now, we buy, like we sell now or buy now, however you want to look at it. But
I think you also got to realize that I think this contract would have came to him anyways had he only won 2 Elite Series events. Simon's personality in the sport of disc golf is just top notch. It's very rare to see someone not like Simon, to not like his YouTube videos, and to not like his play just in general. He went from being the most aggressive guy on tour to toning it down a little bit, getting injured, and then coming back and having the most incredible year that he's had so far in his career. So even with two Elite Series wins, I think that this contract still gets offered to him.
Probably,
so,
good point.
But it was, it was perfect timing to have the most incredible year of your life.
You win 4, and Evan, what's the most outrageous rumor you've heard on what he got offered to this point? You don't have to give every offer, but like, what's one of the most standout ones that you've heard? Like, I've heard like he doesn't have to buy a house, like someone's gonna buy him a house. Like, what have you heard?
Yeah, I heard he got a house and a car as a signing bonus from one person, not like a source, just somebody saying it online. And then someone else said over $1 million a year.
Okay.
Like, I forget the exact amount, but like close to like 1.5 million per year.
The point is,
like
maybe
that,
maybe those are all accurate.
Way more.
And to Nick's point, he won 4, so maybe they're like, now we'll buy you a house, we'll buy you a yacht.
With every single win, it just increases of like, okay, we're gonna buy him this now. No, now we got to buy him this because he won another one. So
wow, that would be an incentive bonus like no other. Okay. We were going to bring up, and I guess we have 1 or 2 minutes left to do this. I want to get Eagle on as soon as possible. We see him sitting there. So right before we bring him in, Simon Lizotte announced, I think he's the only one to ever do it in such a way that people are being affected in this way. Not just like the reaction. Paul could be argued to have been the bigger, the one that started the whole thing, right? But the way this is going down is different. But then we're yet to hear from Valerie Mandujano. That's going to be also a large announcement that we've yet to hear. And I think it's soon. Anthony Barella. Say what you want. He hasn't done a lot for like victory wise, but he's notable in his potential and his ceiling. And he's yet to announce. And then Gannon Burr teasing things out there. I think that was kind of a funny joke he did, but yeah, it was a Double G Craft Jerky sponsorship. He said, "Where am I going?" So
yeah, one other person that we forgot to say when we were talking before the show was Paige Shue.
Yes.
Hasn't announced. She announced a bag sponsorship, but she hasn't quite yet announced a manufacturer sponsorship. So curious to see where she ends up. I mean, for playing for DD, her father works there or used to work there. I don't know how it is now, but being with DD for so long, won a world championship with Dynamic Discs. Curious to see where she ends up as well.
Okay.
Her dad still works there. I believe his title is president. I might be misspeaking there, but very high up in Dynamic Discs still.
Yeah. So who knows where she's going? We said we have Eagle
We've
lined
never
up.
had her on the show, so when she announces, we got to pick her up because I don't think we have we?
I don't think so. There's a lot we have.
All right.
But we also have Thought Space Athletics. So take that for what you will. We just thought that would be an interesting interview as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead, intern Ben. Let's bring in our guest of the evening, our main guest of the evening, Eagle McMahon. How's it going, Eagle? And are you in a warm climate or a cold climate?
Thanks for having me on, first and foremost.
Yeah,
I would probably say a little bit of both. It's warm some days and cold on the others.
Is this Colorado?
Yeah, this is home. It's kind of right in that. Colorado's not as cold as people think it is, but we can definitely get some spells of cold weather. It snowed like a foot 2 weeks ago, and that's basically taken a lot of disc golf out of my my daily routine. But fortunately, like an hour south and an hour north, there's not much snow, so I got up to play yesterday. So playing when I can.
Okay.
I was going to say, how does that go in your off season? Are you like, let's say every single day was 65 degrees or better? You know, how does your off season go when it comes to actually playing rounds of disc golf?
I'd say it's few and far between, honestly. I try to keep it sharp to a certain degree, but some of my most successful years have been years where I've played minimal disc golf. I feel like my game, of course, there is always room to grow your craft, but I feel personally that a lot of the basic things, especially what I can practice here in Colorado, given that it's the courses are a little bit softer, it's higher altitude, that I don't really feel like I can really practice anything all that well other than being in the gym and like more of cultivating a mindset, being more durable for the season to come. So usually before a tournament or before the start of the season, I try to start throwing maybe a month or 2 months before the actual start. And that's just really consists of the fundamentals, approaches, putting, maybe some distance shots, conditioning for the overall season.
Now, we've seen a lot of players actually head down south or out west into the warmer climates. Do you have any plans of, a month before the Vegas tournament going down somewhere where it is good temperature every single day, or are you going to stick it out in Colorado right up until you got to leave for Vegas?
The only thing I have planned is I'm choosing to start the season in San Diego for the Goat Hill Challenge. That's going to be the second weekend in February, I believe, and that'll give me a good opportunity to kind of get the taste of playing a tournament again, conditioning myself prior to playing Vegas.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, the live chat and the viewers right now, for those who are listening post, you don't care about it, but Hey, you got to pull me up now. We're doing one up. We're
Sorry.
leaving Nick up there.
You asked me
He's
to- you
multitasking
asked
3
me to
things.
chat.
Okay.
Can we do the 2 up?
He can, but then he's not multitasking. We don't pay intern Ben for nothing. All right. Eagle, you mentioned durability. I got to ask, do you think you're eating meat now? I saw some video about that a little while ago. I mean, is that something that you're noticing at this point at all, or no?
Yeah, I started eating meat, or let's just say red meat,
Okay.
in May, and it was kind of, I was toying with my diet a little bit before then, some other animal products, but kind of full on. Right when I switched, I kind of went more, I wouldn't say carnivore, like, but it's kind of along the same lines as like a Katrina Allen diet, and I've already noticed just a little bit more endurance, a little bit more strength, and just. It feels good too. It's nice to be able to be invited over to people's houses and actually be able to eat stuff. I feel like people are even being friendlier to me now.
That's
interesting. Oh, get out of here.
That's interesting.
Like Gannon and Gavin's boy Matt. He's already invited me over for he does this
the
steak review show.
Interview, yeah.
So he's already pumped to have me on the show this year. So it's it's definitely opened up some different opportunities. But all in all, I'm feeling pretty good, and I believe that vegan diet can be done well, and I had so many successes on a vegan diet, but what it comes down to is you really have to know your stuff and essentially supplement, do everything right. And it's so hard to do when you're on the road.
Yeah.
And just over the course of my career, I'd want to set myself up for success for whenever I can. And after a lot of thought, I just decided that this is probably the best thing for me to do. And so far, I feel like there's no turning back.
Yeah. And I feel I wasn't asking that question at all for hey, which is better? I was just purely interested, in the chat was as well. What are you noticing? And I think that's interesting to hear. I love the people are being friendlier. That's what I didn't expect. That's really cool. And then I have one more, and I'm sure Nick's got we got a lot to talk about, but am I saying this correctly? Kendama? Is that
Kendama? Yes.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that, because it seems like something I'd enjoy doing. It's like the fidget spinner for those who are more skilled.
Yes,
Here, go
exactly.
full screen on them for a minute.
So the best way I can describe it actually has its roots in Japan. I don't know the historic the date when it was created, but I know it's been around for a long time, and it's just now that it's kind of becoming more popularized in the West. But along the same lines as say a yo-yo, anything kind of coordination, skill toy related, it's right in the same vein as that. So the thing that's so cool about it is how versatile it is. There's 3 different cups. You have the big cup, small cup, and base cup, and then you have the spike. This ball is actually called the tama, and inside out, it's all made out of wood, and the spike goes on here. And usually a basic trick would be pulling it up, getting it to sit in a cup, and flipping it over to the next cup, base cup, and then at the end, all the G's, all the kendama G's like to end all the tricks with the spike. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. A lot of people are throwing very complex tricks, juggling, stall tricks where you're balancing the tama on the ken. That's what the handle, the whole apparatus is called. And it's just so great for hand-eye coordination. It's really great for disc golf during backups. Like yesterday, when I was waiting for all my friends to throw, I'm just on the back of the tee pad jamming with it. So I feel like it goes hand in hand with disc golf, and it just gives yourself that little extra challenge to do on a day-to-day basis. And back in 2018, I learned how to juggle, and I feel like disc golf has a fair bit of hand-eye coordination. So any way you can train that is going to be a positive, and it's going to translate really well into the sport.
All right. Shout out to Pat McMahon. He said, we're more excited to talk about meat and kendama than disc golf. LOL. Hey, we're just starting out with the softball here. Okay. Softball. That's what we're doing.
Oh, I know.
Are you planning to have that on the tour with you? Like carrying it in your bag when you're at an event?
Yeah, actually, right here, there's like a little strap that
cool.
Sweet Kendama sells. So it just it straps right on there. So you'll always see a kendama hanging from my bag out on the course.
Nice, cool. Good for you. I guess we'll jump a little bit into disc golf now, since that's, I think, why a lot of people knew you were coming on. Before we get into anything Simon related, talk to us about the 2023 season in general. Are you looking to play more events this year? How is any injury going throughout the off season? We see you taking a ton of ice baths and stuff like that. How has just the rehab been for that? And then what's your 2023 schedule look like?
Yeah, so at the start of the year, I bought my tour card, so I'm signed up for all the Silver Series and Elite Series I want to play. Plan on being at all the majors. Haven't been able to sign up for those yet, but cool. Okay. Sorry, Matt was
Go ahead.
I heard something behind the scenes. Yeah, so I got my tour card and planning to be at pretty much all the Elite Series, a handful of Silver Series. According to the points, it seems like you should try to play 3 Silver Series if you're serious about the point structure. So just going to all the events that make the most sense for me. Right now, the only event I'm really thinking about skipping is the DDO. I love what Jeremy Rusko and DD does out there, but I've been to Emporia too many times now, and I think I deserve a year off. But other than that, I'm going to do my best and, just kind of take the season how it comes. Health is first and foremost, but I feel like I've gotten to a place where I'm durable enough to play events week in and week out. And that process takes place every day, whether it's eating meat, taking an ice bath, or doing whatever training. So I'm really focused. I think about disc golf all the time. And I just want to be on lead card again. I'm really pumped to show the world what I got once again.
Nice.
At the top, but you have to know, like in the media side, we're all chatting. We're like, you're leaving out Eagle, but we all know he's there. It's like, it's in our head. Do you feel like coming back this year, like,
oh, hey, Matt, you're still
I got
muted
it.
on,
I fixed it.
do you feel like,
okay, sorry,
you are going to be there?
Absolutely. Like yesterday, just as long as I feel confident within myself and get in a good groove, I'm very confident in my own skill level. I know what it takes. Like if it's me versus the course, I feel like I should be beating the course every single time. And if I can go out there and do that, then I don't really care what other people do. The biggest realization for me over the years is like, you really have to focus on just yourself in disc golf, and you really are just wasting time if you think about any other people. And I believe in my my ability. If I'm feeling good that weekend, then I don't see a reason why I shouldn't be on the top of the leaderboard. But of course, there's going to be times where it's going to be tough and you're going to lose that confidence, but it's about how long you stew in those negative feelings and turn it around so you can get back out on the top. So I basically didn't play any disc golf this year compared to other years, but I got my biggest tournament win. So it's so ironic how disc golf works. I feel if I put the effort in, it's going to take shape in some way. And I feel like I've been putting in a lot of great effort. So just got to keep on that grind. And, the mountaintop looks nice. There's those wins, but once you get those wins, there's still more work to be done. So keeping that in mind is also really important, because as soon as you think you've achieved success, that's only the tip of the iceberg, because then you got to learn how to stay up there, and that's even tougher. And that's what I'm trying to figure out now.
You gave an excellent answer, and people probably don't need to know the question, but I had muted myself. So when I was asking you the question, you were hearing me. That's great. I'm glad you were able to answer it, but I will just reiterate quickly. I said, in media, we look at last year, and Eagle wasn't there at the top of the charts because of the amount of events you played, your injuries. But we all talked about it in side group chats that, well, we know we're leaving Eagle out, but we know he is there. And then I just followed up to say, Eagle, are you there this year? Like, is that where you're going to be? And so that was his answer to that. And by the way, guys, don't give me a mute button, I guess. I was still coming off of a sickness, and every now and then when we go off camera, I'll hit mute and like clear my throat or blow my nose, and I forgot to unmute. That's my bad. I apologize. But so do you think you're at full health if you had to go like the whole 100% to 0% thing? Are you at 100, or will you ever be at 100?
Well, that's a great question. I think we're always changing, and it's kind of subjective to get that answer because there's been times where I haven't been on full health. But I would say, for the generic answer, I'd say I'm about 85, 90%. I'm still kind of cautious of the forehand, but I am throwing it. I have about 350, 375, absolutely kind of locked down now, comfortable. I probably could push it more than that, but I'm being very cautious, making sure I condition my body and stay on top of it. And throwing some lefties, and the backhand's gotten a lot better. I feel like my game's at a point where I can compete and feel confident.
Hey, I like that. I appreciate the fact that you took what could have been a very difficult answer and you're like, generically, everybody, 80 to 85. And so does it hurt if you were to throw forehand, or you're just cautious? You're just not there 100% in your mind?
I'm cautious because I've studied the shoulder a lot, and it's such a weird joint, ball and socket joint, that it can feel good. It can feel good. And then like, whoop, everything goes wrong. So it's like, you really have to be careful. But also stress it. It's kind of like a thin line to walk, but as long as I feel like it's holding up good, the muscles are strong, then I feel confident going into this year.
Okay. And Nick, I'll hand it over to you in just a second here. But when we were on mute, the chat was like, they're definitely talking about where Simon's going, and they just muted it.
Exactly.
Like, that's what happened. They muted it.
That would actually be hilarious.
Let's just take this off air for a minute, guys. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
No. So
Intermission.
Nick, you got a question? I've got more, but I'll let you line.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. Your breakout season, where we first kind of saw you, not necessarily breakout season, but when we first really started seeing Eagle McMahon on live or post-produced coverage, whatever, it was 2015. Now, 8 years later, we're heading into the 2023 season. Did you ever think that disc golf was going to get where it's at right now? Did you ever think you were going to get where you're at right now? And especially with all the huge changes that are happening in the last few years of our sport, is it kind of a surreal moment of, hey, I get to do this for a living?
Yeah, definitely looking back to think how far disc golf and myself have come is absolutely incredible. And if you go back in time, I would hope to see that disc golf would have gotten to where it's at now, because there's so many people, players, media, and companies alike, putting their heart and soul into the sport. So I think all the hard work that the collective hard work that us as disc golf put in has gotten us to where we are. And I think it's really amazing, and I think we've earned where we've gotten to, and I can't wait for more.
All right. You heard the news. You knew the news. Simon literally put you out there and said, I called Eagle 2 times a day, some days for a month. So there's a few things we'd love to know from your perspective on this. And besides where he's going, he announced that he left. I saw you in the green room when we were having this conversation. What's your perspective on why it seems like the disc golf world is in this emotional state with him leaving Discmania? You don't see this as much with other players, was our perspective. What do you think?
Yeah. So if you look at his Instagram, if you look at his YouTube, it's obvious that he has a huge audience. Mm-hmm. And for how long he's been creating content, you can go back pretty much to the start of Discmania. The start off was with Avery doing the flying circus, and then trick shots, and then vlogs. He's won people's heart over the last decade, and I would say that a lot of players really can't say the same. Like, obviously, Paul, Ricky, they're larger than life within disc golf. But you don't see them creating content and resonating with people as much as Simon. And Simon so many times has given his bag. Like, whenever he sees like a short or like a kid out there, he mm-hmm. takes a disc out of his bag to give to them. So like, he's made a huge impact of the hearts of disc golfers, and I feel like he's like one of the only people to like do that at such a wide scale. So I think that's kind of merit to why there's as much of a reaction as there is now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's insightful. um, he seems to have this interesting, in the moment at least, and I don't want to speculate on like his feelings. I can talk to him later, but the idea of, is it bittersweet? He keeps going down. He hasn't landed on what his emotions are right now, but I think once we find out, and once he's with the other company, I think it'll be full tilt full tilt forward. But he said he was offered the world in so many ways. We don't know what that means with Discmania. I think it's an interesting question to ask you. You had you're in the off season. You obviously have made a career out of your athletic disc golf abilities. You're sponsored by Discmania. How does him announcing his departure affect you as a person and for your career?
That's a great question, and like it's still unknown territory for Discmania myself. Simon's an incredible teammate. He's an incredible asset to have. So definitely not having him part of the team as a crush boy. We don't really know what the future holds for that. So for me personally, it's going to be a little bit weird to start the year, especially doing all like promotional stuff because we're so heavily incorporated with like Discmania's marketing, Discmania's plans, to not have that like we have had it in the past now. So it's like a lot's going to change, and I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I'm probably going to feel nostalgic a lot of the time. So this is probably going to be a better question maybe a few months from now, but right now it's a little scary, but also it's exciting in other ways.
Interesting. I'm not here on this show when we have guests usually to give my opinion, but I do want you to kind of react to this or give me your thoughts. My initial thought was like, there's only benefit to you for Simon to move on. Like that was my initial thought. And I was thinking down a whole bunch of different reasons for that. But you actually just brought up the possibility that like his huge, who he is, fan base, what he does for the company could possibly be maybe a negative thing for Discmania. I mean, I guess Discmania probably sees it that way, but I mean like company, the way the company's run or functioning, the health of it. Are you saying that maybe that could start to go a little bit?
I don't know necessarily that. Obviously, anything's a possibility. But obviously, like if you lose LeBron James from Cleveland, then it's going to be a little bit of a hit. But we have some aces up our sleeve, and we still have a ton of employees. We still got dreams and aspirations of our own right. So we're going to still do our best, of course. But it's a big deal. Like since Paul leaving, this has been the biggest news in disc golf, and like I'm honestly kind of shocked by the response. Like I've known about it since November, and I watched the videos yesterday, and it definitely was a little bit emotional in some ways because Simon's helped me grow my brand from the get-go, and I think we've kind of helped each other. Like weekends where I haven't played good, he's played good, and vice versa. So it's like it's been a total like team concept for disc golf, and it's been an incredible ride. But nothing lasts forever, it seems like.
Man,
do you remember your initial reaction when Simon first? Because he had said, I think in his videos he had talked with you, talked with other people. Do you remember your initial reaction of hey, Eagle, I'm potentially leaving Discmania?
Yeah, I remember the phone call, and I gotta keep as much things confidential as possible.
Yeah.
But
we're only live, Eagle.
He told me that he got an offer. He had a meeting with a blank person, and I heard the offer, and I'm like, dang, dude. Well, as a friend, first and foremost, you have to consider what's best for you, and you got to listen to your heart at some point. So, and that's what he said in the video. And after a lot of contemplation, a lot of talking to me, a lot of talking to Discmania, it turned out that Discmania wasn't in his heart. I mean, it's not bad. Like,
yeah,
I'm saying this as a friend first and foremost. I'm supportive of him moving and taking this next step on his journey. But it's 10 years at Discmania. It's crazy.
How can you still be friends though and not be on the same team? I saw your Instagram story. Like, it's interesting, the world that we live in and the way people perceive teams, right? And you kind of like, just for me in the Northeast, right? In New England, the Patriots, like it's kind of becomes your identity of who you are, a team, right? And so people that are identifying with Team Discmania in their minds, or actually on the team, they see it hard, I guess, to be like, you can be friends with someone off the team. So what's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I don't know why. I just felt the need to make that little story because I try not to read too many comments, but I was seeing some of them, and it just like, I felt like it was an important public service announcement. It's just, it seems like as soon as you go to a different company, then, that whole relationship is just cut off. And that's completely not true. I talked to Simon today. We have Airbnbs, and I imagine like the Crush Boys will live on in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not in a monetary sense, but hey,
I think
it's the future.
Again, you don't have to react to this, although you're more than welcome to. I think this could be a financial opportunity for you down the road. Any reaction to that at all? Like, the opportunity, he was offered the world. I don't know if you feel that same way. And so I'm just thinking down the road, there might be more conversations. Is that something that might happen?
We'll see.
Okay.
Hopefully that door stays open.
Discmania, are you listening?
Everything's always changing, and it's a wild world out there.
Oh, wait. If we're gonna read into this the same way we've been reading into Simon Lizotte for the past month and a half, Eagle just said everything's always changing. Where's he going, people? Where's he going? Let's start.
No. I'm with Discmania.
You know what? Eagle's just gonna get the bag. That's where he's going. To the bag.
What?
To the bank.
Oh, to the bank. Okay.
Yeah.
He's getting the bag.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking there's a lot of things we're probably missing here. I'm trying to see. We told the chat to go ahead and give us a few questions if they wanted to. We'd ask some of them. 871 concurrent viewers. That's pretty good for us. So we could get a few questions in here.
But I'll hop in with one.
Yeah, go ahead. I just came up with one, but Evan, go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
yeah, I'm here, guys. I haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, Eagle Evans here from Statman.
What is going on? Let's talk Colorado for a bit. We finally saw, let's say, an elite event at Colorado with the match play championship coming to the mountains of Colorado. What do you see being the pro tour side of things, the future of Colorado as far as hosting events?
That's a great question. Like the match play that took place at Bailey, and I think some of our mountain courses is our strongest infrastructure. I think they're the best chance of getting an elite series style event on the actual tour, not just exhibition, is probably doing something similar to the Portland Open, or I don't know too much information on the Open at Austin, but I believe that they're going to be renting out like a golf course of such. So I think in the future, maybe some destination mountain town on a golf course could really give disc golf a good chance of getting on the Elite Series. But of course, then you have to have a good club, which we do. But obviously that takes a lot of manpower and initiative to make something like that happen.
Yeah. I didn't even think of this before, but you've played at Vales. They have a golf course. Was that where the tournament was? You've played out there, like a golf course in the mountains, and then also having a mountain course nearby. Is that what you're getting at, or two separate things?
I think you're talking potentially about the GoPro Mountain Games. At times, they had set up some sort of disc golf course on the golf course, but I think it was for like one day. It wasn't fully rented out nor permanent, and that moved on to just being kind of at like a, let's say, more of a winter sports complex. But I have played some courses in Colorado that took place on a golf course in the mountains that could be potentially good venues, but nothing really comes to mind at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing Zootown come on as a Silver Series. I don't know if that's one of the ones you're hitting up, which if you know what Silver Series you're planning on attending, would love to hear that too. But yeah, go ahead with that.
Yeah, I looked at Zootown. It looked like a cool event. I've never been to Montana, and I would like to knock off another state. So that looks like a really cool opportunity, especially because Glacier National Park's just north of there, and I think that would be a really cool trip. I'm going to be doing that one, Beaver State Fling, and the Discmania Open, which is towards the end of the year in Prince Edward Island. So some pretty cool Silver Series stops.
Oh,
Nice.
definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'm dying for mountain disc golf. I love what match play was last year. I thought it was really unique, change of pace. I'm hoping for it. I know it's going to logistically kind of
I would love it too.
There's something in the water in Colorado. We have tons of good players who all can bomb. So get in Colorado, get events there, grow the sport as much as we can.
I love it.
Okay.
But over to you, Matt.
Okay. So I remembered what it was. I'm just going to start saying manufacturers' names, and we're just going to stare at Eagle's face. That's what it was. Lone Star. No.
Oh,
Prodigy.
I'm just going to start cheesing right now.
Just cheese the whole time.
Yeah.
Gateway.
Give some winks. Ooh,
MVP.
You're getting hot there. Wow.
Thought Space Athletics.
Whoa.
Wait. Oh, they're not on the show yet.
Foreshadowing.
We will bring them on in a little bit. Just kidding about it. Franklin.
All I can say is I talked to Simon today, and I think the announcement's pretty soon. But that's
Awesome.
basically all I can say.
That's what I think we're all feeling. We're feeling this thick air. It's just there. He says yesterday was his last round with Discmania.
It's so funny. And the other thing I can share is I was talking to Simon today, and he was still talking to UC, and it's you're on a new team, and you're still talking to UC. It's
That's awesome.
It's what was in the video is completely true.
Yeah.
There's so mmany emotions tied. Discmania is still his family. He can still come to any one of us on the team. He's not going to stop being friends with Avery, the person who was like a father to him. And same with UC. There's so many people that are a part of the family, and Simon will still remain that way.
That's a great point. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. He's talked about UC in a lot of great ways over the years, and I bet you he's like, "Hey, UC, does this seem like a good deal? Should I do it?" And UC's like,
No,
"Wait
100%.
a minute. Wait a minute, bro. You're leaving Discmania? That's hard." But I bet you if this conversation happened, I bet you UC did say "Bro, I don't want you to." But as you said, Eagle, you said as a friend first, you're looking out for the best. So I bet you that happened. But again, we're going to try to line Simon up to hear from his perspective when this actually comes out. Let's see. We've got a little bit of time left. Do you want to go into the last 7 or 8 minutes here doing stat or fiction, Eagle? Are you down for that game?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's line it up, Ben. Here we go. You got it, Ben?
Yep.
Okay, go. Stat or fiction, presented by Statmando. Evan, take it away, and intern Ben, clear the points.
Yes, sir.
All right, Eagle, have you played this game before or know how it goes?
I think I can wing it.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
pretty much I'm going to say a statement. You say if it's true or false, but the twist is it's a stat or it's a fiction.
I like it.
All right. So we have the NCAA championship for college football tonight, and big game, Georgia versus TCU. So with that, we have the disc golf collegiate championships. In 2022, it was hosted, and they had a singles tournament within it. Of course, there's a team aspect to it as well. But stat or fiction number 1 is Evan Cole won the 2022 College Disc Golf National Championships D1 singles, as in the singles event.
And then I'll start, go to Matt, and then go to you, and then we'll.
You're saying that
flip
is
through.
the stat or fiction that he did that?
Yeah, Evan Cole won the 2022 College Disc Golf National Championship. It's not me, Evan. It's a different Evan.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
Oh, we thought it was you.
fiction.
Nick says fiction. I'm saying fiction. What do you think, Eagle?
I've never heard of Adam or Evan Cole.
Evan Cole.
Yeah.
I never
Yes.
heard of him, so I gotta go fiction.
Dang, Evan's probably watching right now. Be like,
But-
no.
I will say
Yeah, I
the
just
college
picked-
disc golf is a really
Picked a
interesting
random name
thing.
out of the hat. Who knows who this guy is? No, he is a real person. But the answer is fiction.
Yes.
People may know who the winner is because he made a big name. But Evan Cole came in second 14 under, lost by just a single stroke to Robert Burridge.
Yep.
Who
sounds right.
took it down. And, if you remember that, rep in Michigan. And then, of course, I went to the playoff later that year.
Jeez. Poor Evan after that.
Poor Evan.
You guys are so good. Man.
The future.
I bet you that guy's if you're losing by one stroke, you're a good disc golfer. He's going to come back.
Absolutely.
He's going to win some.
The future of
events.
college disc golf, though, is really interesting because there's so much room for growth, but it's pretty big. Like, they're bringing in a lot to this national championship. Steve Dodge doing his thing that he always does. He has the Collegiate Invitational to Maple Hill, and I was able to film there last year. And it's interesting because you're like, man, I want to go back to college because that seems really fun, team playing sports and all that. But anyways,
a lot of growth there. Evan Cole out of RIT as well. I'll give him a quick shout out there. Stat or fiction number 2, pertaining about Georgia being one of the teams in the national championship tonight. Matt Dollar has the most wins in Georgia of any division in PDGA events. Matt Dollar has the most wins in the state of Georgia of any division in PDGA events.
This
was going to
you
Matt
looked it up
first.
because you were curious, I'm sure. But did you find out that it was true or not? Who else would it be? I'm going to say fiction, man. He's been playing a long time, but that's a stat, and it's a good one if he has it. I'm saying fiction. I mean, like, it's good if he has it, but I'm saying fiction. You're up,
Over
Eagle.
you, Eagle.
I'm going to go fact because I can't think of any other players from Georgia that's been around as long as he has. And I know that he played a lot before.
Any division, though. Is there some
division? So
FPO
this
division
is a player
where there's
out
like
of
a
Georgia,
woman
right?
showing up? Yeah.
It doesn't matter where they're from, just where the event was. So
he's won the most tournaments in Georgia.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
I'll say stat.
All right.
Yeah.
I could get a point or lose a point. Here we go.
That's how it works. All right. This is a stat. Matt Dollar has 115 wins in the state of Georgia. The second best is Kevin McCoy with 79. Pretty sizable lead. He'll probably hold on to for a good while, if not ever.
Yeah.
Evan Cole.
Yeah, and Robinson brothers are on there. I saw them on the list. They're pretty high, not quite 115 though. And then stat or fiction number 3. The other team playing tonight is TCU, Texas Christian, who is out of Fort Worth. This question is about Texas State Disc Golf Championship, that event as a whole. Des Redding has the most Texas State Disc Golf Championship starts in the event's history in MPO or FPO. So Des Redding has the most Texas State Disc Golf Championship starts, just starting, doesn't matter the outcome,
man.
in the event's history of just MPO and FPO, though.
These are
Just
cool
the
stats
two
if I
opens.
was to read them in Twitter, but when you say, is it true or not, that's tough. But
Yeah.
Eagle, you're
That's the game, though, right? So, Eagle, it is over to you now. For all the pressure's on.
I'm gonna. My gut's telling me fiction because there's probably some other Texas person that's been around forever.
That's what I did with Matt Dollar, and I was wrong.
I'll say stat. She's an OG in the
Steve
sport.
Falco rule, Nick.
Steve
I don't know. I just think she's in bro, you got to get off the Steve Falco stuff. I mean, if I want a chance of winning, I gotta have to do this. Like,
just so you know, Eagle, Steve Falco,
Yeah.
it's random, but we had a guy in our chat who used to get upset at us if one guy would pick stat and the other fiction just to win. He's like,
Just
you
to try
gotta
to
write
win.
it down. You gotta write it down. So we just call it the Steve Falco rule.
I'll write down stat then.
Okay, there we go. I have no chance at winning here. So Steve Falco rule doesn't work for me. So let's see. For the history of this game, Evan tracks the stats at some level. The answer is stat. Yep. I can at least
All
tie
right.
Eagle.
At least tie. The answer is stat. Des Redding does, in fact, have the most with 14 total starts. There is a person, he might be well known, but to me, I didn't know his name before this, but Matthew Hall out of Texas. He has the second most with 13, the most in MPO. And then Paul Uabari and Bradley Williams are tied for third with 12 starts.
All right, give me the point, intern Ben. You left me hanging. I need to at least be tied with Eagle in something.
The only time I'll beat Eagle in something related to disc golf currently. So I'm going to soak this up for a little bit.
If you can't do
Steve
it,
Falco.
They always say you teach it, but I guess if you can't do it, maybe you're just smart about it. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's go. Let's just go out to our probably 4 up if you have it. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Okay.
Boom.
So besides you spilling all the beans in the disc golf, no. I mean, it seemed like a lot of the world thought they knew what was happening. Then something did happen. It's kind of one of those things I've always said it along the way is like where there's smoke, there's fire. That's kind of cliche, but like I think there's something to be said there. And people in the chat told me to tell you, Eagle, good job not spilling any beans. They came here to see tonight, and they also have been watching your social media, and you never alluded to anything. So that's a good friend, I think. So good job.
I try. It's tough in the disc golf world because everyone knows everyone in some capacity, and you have your best friends that you even want to talk to and be like, dude, you want to know where Simon's going? Like you have to like abstain from the verge of even saying that. Like the only people who knew is like my girlfriend and my dad, they know how to keep their mouth shut. So I'm always striving to keep my mouth shut and even do a better job at that. Cause like, even like the way you show emotion can give stuff away. So
Discraft,
it's
MVP, Prodigy, Gateway.
just a big smile.
It's your emotion. So the fact that you just are like, you're happy right now. I'm just pegged which one it is. I hope everyone else stared at his face and figured it out too. So, well, awesome. We could spend a lot of time and people would love it. They're going to think we missed a lot of great questions and maybe we did, but this is your time and we appreciate it very much. I am happy, dude. Your dad in the chat, your dad's just a great dude all around. And he's commented at one point tonight and he said, Matt is the man. And I was just like, yes, I got it. Matt is the man. So shout out to him as well. Thanks, Pat. Hopefully see you around tour and you as well, Eagle. It sounds awesome that you're going to be out there and about again. I'm sure we'll hit you up. Not every day, but if you're winning a lot, we'll hit you up a few times. So we'll stay in touch.
To it.
Any announcements or any leaks you want to do before you go? This is your last chance.
I'll just say that Discmania has some aces up their sleeve. Let's just say that.
You said that earlier.
Do we have like a time frame? Can we get some mid-January, tomorrow? When's it happening?
I'll give you a nice smile.
Initials. I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to mention that earlier. I was going to go, you said a few aces. I was going to go, are you one of those aces? So we'll see.
I'm not even an ace.
He's a joker.
He's an eagle.
I'm definitely a joker.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Eagle. And we always appreciate when you jump in the chat, even if it's for a minute. Our fans and listeners love it as well. Thanks very much. And good luck out there, man.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Peace. Bye.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right.
I got
Eagle
all
McMahon
pixelated on my side.
Yeah. Whoa, Nick.
I'm like dying. I'm like dying over here. I'm literally like dissolving in thin air right now. Yeah. I don't know why I'm dying.
For our listening audience, it's like when people are in the witness protection program, they just like blockify them. Like that's what Nick is. Hold on. I'm going to try something on the side real quick. I'm going to just see.
For all the newer people tuning in tonight and for such a big audience, I have a green screen behind me. I'm not actually in Massachusetts. Like this TV is not there. I could throw something at the wall and it would not hit that TV. So every so often,
smashing it with a hammer.
Yeah. So every so often, I don't know why, but I don't know. It actually seems like it's getting a little bit better.
It's better now. But cool. Yeah, we still got a lot of work to do in Nick's studio, but at least we got him here.
MySpace Nick circa 2004. You're not wrong. Yeah. Looking like a forest ghost. Oh my God, that's actually the most hilarious thing I've read. That's awesome.
Remember when we did all the nicknames for you? Nick Nugget.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not to get back on that. That's a blast from the past. Okay. So normally we'd try to unpack a little bit of the interview, and I think
there's a lot to unpack.
Well, okay, so let's not unpack
ace up its sleeve. That's there's something.
A few aces up our sleeves. Yikes. But I did push him at that one point. I was like, so I was just being funny, but I'm like, so you might be leaving? He's like, no, like I'm staying with this man. So no changes with him. But
one thing that I didn't really feel like bringing up, only in the sense of he probably wouldn't be able to talk about it too much, but I feel like I've seen this, but maybe not. When a lot of the players from Discmania were posting their sponsorship with them, we didn't see Ella Hansen, or did I miss it? Does anyone know? I haven't read anything.
I heard the same thing, that no one saw her.
But no one saw a post. So the only two things, obviously, one could be that she is leaving, or she's being promoted to the Sky team, and maybe they're waiting to post on that. I'm not really sure, but I feel like Ella Hansen is someone who
Ella Hansen to Thought Space Athletics. No.
Whoa.
So I'm not gonna put our next guest on the spot with that intro, but we do have Thought Space Athletics lined up. And who is Thought Space Athletics? His name's Aaron, and we're gonna bring him onto the show. We might do a little bit more talk about the Eagle conversation, but we're gonna want to listen to that back ourselves. Hopefully, you guys found benefit there. I will say this, while the majority of our audience is still here, which thank you to the shout out to all the live, give us the likes. It helps the algorithm with this interview. And then again, all but guaranteed, we're going to have Simon in for a conversation once more announcements happen. But let's not put this off any further. For the first time ever, welcome to the show. Aaron, is it Wilmot? Wilmot?
Yeah, Wilmot.
All right. And I would just like to introduce myself as Matt. I've never met you officially in person that I remember, and I apologize if I have. And you're the owner of Thought Space Athletics, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I want you to give our listeners not the like comprehensive version, like the whole Wikipedia, but like, where does Thought Space Athletics come out of as its origination? Just start with that. Like, where does it come out of?
So I used to be a tour manager for a bunch of metal bands back in like 2012. So it started off as like an apparel company just to kind of sling merch while on the road. Since then, I made my way down to the 2012 Worlds and really fell in love with disc golf, and realized that things were kind of lacking on back then, the design game, the quality of the apparel and everything else. So it was kind of a hobby that kind of floated around on the back end of everything until I'd say probably about 2017-ish area. We started working with like Double G on some design work, Nate Perkins, that sort of thing. And then we got involved with the USDGC, working with Innova. We worked with the USDGC for like 4 years. And then about 2019, we had the opportunity to start producing our own plastic, which gave us better control over design work, flight, all that sort of thing. And we've kind of taken off from, I think the first initial order was about 3,000 total Mantra, which was our first disc. And then now we have about 13 molds, and ordering about 600,000 discs a year. So
okay, 600. So I think you said ordering. So who's molding? You have molds with somebody who's doing that for you.
Yeah, so obviously, with coming from a graphic design background, me and my partner Tony Grainstone, we met and we wanted to work with the best, in my eyes, the best stamping capabilities that we could. And 3-foil was kind of where it's at, and we had the opportunity to work with MVP to start producing our plastic for us.
Okay, so you're working with MVP. What do you know? No, there's a big rumor out there. No, just kidding. But Thought Space Athletics. And okay, I don't mean to tie all this together with all the rumors that are circulating, but Simon Lizotte has done some work with you guys, right? What's your relationship with him in the past? And is there anything that is already set up for like the years to come?
So we started, working on obviously the collaboration with Mass Landing. We did the full tilt. We did his bag design. We've actually worked with Eagle a little bit as well with like all of their jerseys, because we manufacture our own jerseys. So we've kind of grown relatively close over the last few years, but it's hard to say. I'm not really sure where he's going, but hoping to kind of continue working together on in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So a lot of people are commenting already on artwork, and I've seen your products. Again, I haven't done a lot with you, but I've seen it, and I think artwork is what stands out to me the most. I see the artwork and I go, man, I want that on all of my discs, you know, like it is. So that's awesome. But you've done some work with Simon. Is it through brewing and beer release type things? Is that where I'm thinking correctly, or is that not you?
Yeah. So I have a friend of mine, Parker. He's one of the owners of Mass Landing out of Freeport, Maine. And with Simon being in Massachusetts, it was really easy to kind of collaborate with a fellow beer lover. And then in doing so, we started off with the Cloud Pleaser, which he came up and we went over to the brewing facility and kind of came up with a plan for like what Simon wanted. We worked on the design aesthetic. And then we did a release, which was insane. That first beer release at the Freeport tasting room, there was just hundreds of people. And, you know, with the special releases that we worked with Discmania on, like we did the design, we're able to stamp it and then sell it. And it was just 4 hours of people coming up, buying, you know, that disc, meeting Simon. And it was a great time.
Man, I do not know how my brain hasn't really put together. I mean, if someone asked me, does Thought Space Athletics produce discs? I would have said yes. They have discs that they're selling. I would have said their artwork's incredible. I would have said what I already know, asking you a question about, you know, artwork for beer and collaborations with Simon. I would have known all that, but in my head, I'm just kind of, call me ignorant, everybody. I'm starting to put together like you're an actual like disc golf, not manufacturer, but like technically you're in the same vein as like a dynamic disc. Is that correct? They're not manufacturing their own discs.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an honor to say that, especially since we've only been producing discs for like going into our 4th year right now. But you know, a lot of people don't know about us because we haven't really dumped a lot of money into marketing, right? It's all been about collaboration, and then obviously word of mouth. And we have a great fan page, the Thought Space Athletics fan page on Facebook. And we just have so many like diehard fans that we're like super humbled to be able to call family. And they just reach out. And if they haven't heard of Thought Space, it's like, here's a disc. My nephew Lane was born premature, and we did like a quick fundraiser disc, and we sold 500 discs in like 2 minutes just to raise funds for my family, which
that's incredible.
Awesome. And I share in that premature birth, both myself, and I wasn't that early. I was only like three weeks or so, but my firstborn son was 6 or 7 weeks early. So like, I understand that. That's incredible. That's a great, I think the disc golf community is great with that. But yeah, so I mean, I guess I know Discmania, sorry, Dynamic Discs, they're doing $1 million deals at this point. I don't know if you're there, but let's go ahead and turn it to this. Like, we've heard players kind of, we'll say, sign with you over the last year or so, but I feel like this offseason's different. What's different this offseason that we're noticing? Is it just more names, or is it different deals? Like, tell us about it.
Stole the question right from me.
Well, sorry. I'm just got on a roll here. Sorry.
So I mean, obviously I used to be the retail manager for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So I worked with those guys for a couple of years. I met Zoe Andyke and Dustin Keegan at the Memorial my first year working for the Pro Tour. So Zoe was really like our first pro that we signed. She's been with us since 2021, I believe. Zoe, I'm sorry if I'm not recollecting. But with having Zoe there, and then we obviously working with Nate Perkins, who's kind of more on the agent side of things right now. He brought us Matt Bell, and Matt Bell is now going to be with us for another 2 years. So I think what happened is with signing these pros, our name got out there a little bit more. And like with Thomas, me and Matt actually drove up for my first time, I think it was Matt's too, to Canadian Nationals. And we got to hang out with Thomas because Matt was on the lead card for all 3 days. So we just got to kind of really talk and everything else. And that just kind of opened the door from there. And then we also have obviously Eric Oakley, who everybody knows Eric, and he's kind of putting feelers out for us because we really don't sign anybody to our team. Unless they are, great players is awesome. But what we try to do with Thought Space is really build a community that we can be proud of, that really elevates others, around them, etc. So that's kind of a prerequisite to making the team. And I feel like we've really found a group of really solid individuals that are just going to help grow the sport, grow Thought Space, and, help grow others in the process.
Okay.
So
I tried to get it up to 4 up, Nick, so that way we can all get in on this.
Yeah.
And then we did 4 up, and then intern Ben.
It was Ben. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, I lost my show. So
we have the power. Okay, so get back to the interview.
So to not go into the full contract of a Thought Space Athletic player, but talk to us where, Eric Oakley signed with Thought Space, Infinite, and Clash Discs, which are technically 3 different retailers and also disc manufacturers in a sense. Just kind of give us the broad spectrum of, if this is a Thought Space Athletic player, how much open bag can they throw? How much thought space are they kind of supposed to throw? Can you give us any insight on just the dynamics with that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Thought Space is kind of in a unique area because we believe that collaboration is key, I think I said earlier. And with us working with different manufacturers, we want our players to obviously throw as much thought space as they enjoy throwing. But when you put a player into an open bag contract and they choose to throw your discs, I think that speaks volumes because they could literally throw anything that they want to. So therefore, you're producing something that really fits their bag. And I think that that creates a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just very genuine. People can tell that. It's not, a player trying to push a specific company's disc because they're signed and have to throw all of that in their bag. So we just want to be, very transparent with our fans. We want our players to be transparent because honesty and collaboration are key.
Yeah,
I feel like
makes sense.
This is probably the most softball of softballs, maybe. But why wouldn't they want to throw your plastic? I mean, are you guys missing anything? What's your lineup now? I think you said how many discs? 600,000. But how many molds do you have? I think you said that too. But
yeah, we have about 13 molds right now. I mean, we doubled the amount of molds that we had from last year. I think, I think the PDJ put it out that we had 7 approved molds last year, which doesn't really hold a candle to Lone Star with 21, but
they're a little different.
We're getting there. We're still very young, but we're agile, and we want to make sure that we're not just putting out a lot of discs. We want to make sure that we're filling key spots in the bag that there isn't a lot of overlap. If there is any overlap, that means I feel like kind of a cash grab and unnecessary.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
You guys have obviously artwork based, and for every run of discs, you have a unique stamp and unique artwork for it. How did that kind of come about? And does that work really well? I think it does. Just kind of explain that part.
I mean, one thing coming from retail, right? We always want to. There's a lot of pro shops. Obviously, being from Maine, we have pro shops that sell discs, and you can only sell a stock disc so many times to so many players. So we wanted to create a way to identify what run that disc was, and then 2, provide this kind of like an ever evolving art show, right? So a lot of these people are going to be buying discs in pro shops. It gives brick and mortar a reason to constantly buy molds because the artwork's different. And then also coming from, graphic design, we have a really great design team. And it just allows us to kind of flex our muscle a little bit.
Okay. Go ahead. Follow it up, Evan. Sorry. We're all over the board tonight. We're excited.
Let's talk a little bit about your creativity with the stamps, because when you look at some of these, there's kind of the initial design and there's 3 elements to it. And then there's, sub parts to it. It just kind of blows your mind. How does that creativity process go about, and kind of speak to that to you and your team?
So with Thought Space initially, the idea is to inspire creativity, right? So you can only have so many stamps with disc golf baskets and stuff like that before it becomes kind of monotonous, I guess, to say shortly. But we wanted to tie in a little bit of pop culture. I'm a 90s kid, and I'll be 35 in February. But we also wanted to tie in some Eastern philosophy, science, psychology. I mean, even with our names, the animus is Old Latin for mind and spirit. So there's just a lot that you can do visually to tie in, and we'll take a concept that we want to do and try to tie in visual keys to really kind of expand and make it interesting to look at. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the thought process, and we kind of roll through a bunch of napkin sketches until we find something that sticks.
Nice.
I love art. That was always one of my things growing up, even through today. Like I enjoy it, but you guys do some really fantastic stuff there. That stood out to me for sure. Is this too forward to ask, like, how are you compensating your players? Like, is it like the structure of the deals? Because like you'll hear a player go there and you're thinking, like, how are they scraping by? Or are you just giving them like, is there any room for you to tell us how these deals are structured?
I mean, out of respect for the players and stuff, it's not something that we really talk about too much. Every player is different, and what's important to them is different. But what we do try to do is touch on what's important to that player, and how can we elevate them? You know, how can we make them successful in more ways than just, you know, doing great at events, but, you know, how can we help them give back to their community? How can we help them grow their brands? And obviously coming from, you know, a graphic design background, we have a lot of tools that can make them successful.
Okay. How many employees do you have at ThoughtSpace? You're the owner.
Yep. So our warehouse, like everyone thinks that we're huge, but we have, you know, a design team of 3, one of those being my partner, Tony. And then in the warehouse, we have Paul, and he's my right-hand man. We have Chase, who's my left-hand man. And then we have my wife, Erica, that pretty much keeps us all in line.
Okay.
Nice.
And are you all full-time?
Yep.
And so we have people in our chat asking, by the way, the audience is loving you. I think we have some from up in Maine there, but we've got people all over intrigued and asking questions. How do they apply as a graphic designer? They said they're asking for a friend, but they said legit asking for a friend. I don't know what it is, but is there any opportunity for growth there where you would take interviews or applications?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with like our pro team, right? Our touring pros is we don't want to take the buckshot approach. We want to make sure that we actually have the financial stability to be able to pay specifically graphic artists what they're worth, because I think that it's something that, like when we first started, you know, making, you know, $200, $300 a design, with the amount of work that goes into actually facilitating a great stamp, isn't, you know, much. So we want to make sure that if we bring on more people, that we can actually make it a fun place that's rewarding, that has, you know, everything that they could want for to working with a business.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. The shirt you're wearing, is that a ThoughtSpace athletic shirt?
It is.
Can you go full screen, Ben? So I love that. First of all, again, the artwork's just, it stands out. It stands out. So good job there. You don't need to hear that from me, but it stands out. It's awesome. It's sublimated, right? Is that the right wording there?
Correct.
Do you do that in-house?
No, we have a manufacturing partner out of Canada. We have a lot of close ties with our Canadian fans, but we want to make something that was, you know, in North America, but was something other than VII. I mean, there's a lot of potential to grow the market, and we just wanted to offer like another revenue stream to the company, but also another outlook for people to be creative and stand out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you take custom orders, or is that not your thing? Like you're like, hey, we're
we do custom orders all the time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cool. Yep. So you know, we work. What's that? Sorry.
I said Marshall Street just got one. It's pretty cool.
That's our intern.
Yep. Sorry.
I'm in the Hi, Ben.
Hello.
Yeah. So, I mean, we still do commissions and stuff. We have something in the works. If you got, I mean, Marshall Street, we've been working with those guys a lot. But we just did like what we called Martian Street, where we just did like combined pyramids with like an overlord alien. And we even added, I think Cole, their dog that's over at Marshall Street,
cool.
into the stamp. But, you know, we've been having a lot of fun kind of where we will never reuse the art on a disc. We've been kind of taking that art, since we have so much good art, and trying to make like apparel items with it and stuff. And then Marshall Street really liked that. So we're going to be kind of doing the same thing with that design that we just did for him.
Wow. Oh, my brain is just like, again, I love creativity and I love the idea. And I'll just throw out we're talking to ThoughtSpace, so I should keep it with them. But throw out any manufacturer. This is a great idea. They're going to steal it now. if I could buy apparel that had the same artwork as like the discs that I was using, which were only on specific discs, like that could be pretty cool. So you're doing that. Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. So you're 4 years in. Do you ever see yourself at some point? Like, is there any goal in your mind of like, hey, I'd love to have like a full-time staff disc golf pro player. Like we would love to like have them on salary kind of a thing.
I mean,
you're only 4 years in. I get it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're still very young, but as we grow, we want to grow, or grow with our team. So, looking at Matt and Eric specifically, and even Zoe, like they came on for a year. They liked what we were doing. We signed them for another 2. So it's all about, as we grow, we want to be able to support our players more. I guess if that's kind of a roundabout way to answer your question.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair. It's fair that you're answering the way you are. It's totally fine. We're just all interested in the sport of disc golf and how it's growing, and we talk about it all the time in our group chats and everything else. So it was great having you on. Evan, Nick, anybody else here have any other questions for him before we let him go?
Well, I'm going to see it. Like maybe we can get a teaser on any new ideas on molds. Do you guys feel like there's a hole? I don't want to say hole because you guys have enough molds now, but is there like an in-between part where you're like, we got something planned for that kind of hole in your bag?
I mean, I will say that we are currently messing around with 4 new prototypes.
Okay.
4. Okay.
Nice.
Would you call those aces up your sleeves?
Possibly. Possibly.
Whoa.
Nice.
If we're using the same terminology here, I mean, possibly. Okay. Interesting. No, anything you want to say before we let you go? The floor is yours. If there's any shout outs or announcements, I guess it's a free ad placement or whatever you want, man. But it's been awesome having you on.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I want to first and foremost thank our fans, fan page, everyone that keeps that together. That's completely fan run. Couldn't be doing what we're doing without them. Definitely check us out. Main States coming up August 25th through the 27th. We're going to be hopefully hitting 40,000 added cash. So that's something that ThoughtSpace has been supporting. Me, Jamie White, Dave Burley, all started that a few years ago, and it's been growing exponentially. But we really want to put Maine firmly on the map and hopefully get an elite series or something bigger up into the state, because the last thing we had was U.S. Women's. So
Maine is pretty awesome.
A silver
was
series.
there a silver
well.
series?
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, so Maine States 2 years ago was a silver series.
That's what I thought. Okay, gotcha. What courses do you play for Maine States again?
So it's going to be the Bitter Side over at Bittersweet Ridge, and then the Patriot over at Pineland.
Okay, gotcha. So 2 courses.
Yeah. And Pineland's amazing. They have like 5,000 acres out there.
Yeah.
That's
what I've heard. I've yet to play it yet, but I've heard it's
I was there
immaculate.
3 months ago. One of my favorite courses or complexes, I'll say, that I've ever been to. It's incredible.
The Nick and Matt Show tour finale, maybe we'll go up there.
I've already played there though.
Okay, hold on. But like, this is serious. Serious. It's funny serious. I went to Whole Foods and I grabbed a pack of ground beef, and I get it home and I realize it's from Pineland, right? The farm. They do beef up there.
Oh yeah, they have cows. Like if you go to Hole 7, you usually can have a couple cows off to the left of the tee box.
I'm eating ground beef supporting disc golf at the same time. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
They have a full on like market that has like deli and like organic food and everything else right next to like Old Hole 1.
Awesome.
Matt, we talked about courses that have like food on site. Like we talked about Meadowbrook, how incredible that is. You just play a round, have food. You don't even leave. You play another round. That's Pineland right there. It's right off the side of the course.
That's the way to do it.
They have like a gym, and you can play basketball there if you rent time or whatever. And there's all these other things going on. It's this crazy like odd complex. Used to be a school, I think, something like that.
Well, we got a little off topic. I mean, I'm sure ThoughtSpace, you must have some products there, but
Jamie White said, "LOL, make the vegetarian talk about me." So you're a vegetarian, Aaron?
Yeah, I've been a vegetarian
since
my junior year of high school.
That's actually that comment made me laugh, and because Jamie's awesome, and we all know Jamie. So
Jamie, that's pretty funny. I'm over here just like ground beef supporting disc golf.
Yeah,
but we just had Eagle on, who, if you do or don't know, he announced it, so it's out there. But like, he went from vegan diet to now he does eat meat, so it's pretty funny. We've gone both ways with it tonight. So there you go. But yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I'm sure we've got your contact now. We'll line other things up when it makes sense and other big announcements. But you've brought over some great players that are saying they're happy to be with you, and I think it was worth a conversation. And I think I believe our audience is pretty excited about it based off of the chat. Those listening post later, be sure to check it out. Is it thoughtspaceathletics.com or is it easier than that?
Yeah, no, thoughtspaceathletics.com.
It's a cool name. It's the name I think is fantastic. Like just the name alone is intriguing. I love it. So
it's all about the power of the mind. So
cool.
And we also wanted a brand name that wasn't ThougSpace Discs, because you just kind of pigeonhole yourself. We want to do it all. So
yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much for this conversation. Hope you have a great evening.
Thank you.
All right. Peace out, man.
Take it easy.
Well, I learned a lot through that interview. I hope that a lot of our audience did as well. You might think it's a fringe deal, but it sounds to me like they're already there, but they're up and coming in a big way. 600,000 discs.
Sheesh.
That's an incredible number.
Yeah, that's a huge number.
Like, just think, I would want to put up there and be like Mint discs, right? How many did Mint do this last year? And maybe it's millions. But my point is, like, put up any other up and comer, and 600,000 sounds like a lot of shipments.
It's a two for two, because it like, how cool is it that our sport is at this place that a company that doesn't make their own discs, they just buy from someone else and put on really awesome artwork, that they're putting out 600 discs a year.
600,000. Yeah.
600,000. Yeah. And then props to them, of course, too, for doing such a good job.
Yeah. Who, speaking of Mint discs, who else is sponsored by them besides Mason Ford? Which I don't know if we talked about that announcement last week. I forget when it came out, but Mason Ford and Mint discs.
Des Redding.
I think
Des Redding. Yeah.
I don't want to say nobody. I actually watched their little live announcement deal that they did. I think it's probably at some sort of a brewery, I'm guessing, but they have some connection there. And they had their team standing up in front welcoming Mason. Like, it was all like a live, it's on YouTube, you can see it. But so Mason came over and he said hi to everybody. Now I'm part of the team. There was nobody that stood out to me. And now I'm sure locally / regionally, like, there's players that they have, but not any nationally known.
They're Texas based from what I've heard.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Austin area.
Okay.
And they are like ThoughtSpace. They don't make their own discs. They outsource them. I don't know if it's completely or it's at least somewhat by MVP.
It is MVP.
Interesting enough, their team page, they don't have Mason Ford on there yet, but Des Redding is the most notable name. I'll be honest, I don't know of any of these other names off the top of my head. Apologies to people from Texas who might not know them easily, but there are 2 empty spots for coming 2023. One of those I'm going to assume is Mason Ford. It's not updated on the site yet. So one more potentially for 2023. So that'll be interesting.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, like Clash Discs made a huge kind of splash in the scene over the last few years. ThoughtSpace has made a huge scene over the last few years. And ThoughtSpace I knew of before, I think Clash, only because a lot of buddies back in Massachusetts, like Kyle Moriarty, has been sponsored by ThoughtSpace for a little while now. And so I've seen their discs come out. I've seen new molds. But off the top of my head, what is a Mint disc? Like, what's their most famous disc that they have right now?
Bobcat and Mustang are really popular mid-range.
I think they have
they do Goat Freetail or something.
Listen to
Goat,
us.
which is like their distance driver. There's your typical 12503.
Yeah.
And then
Lobster. People like the lobster.
The lobster. I picked up a lobster, super flippy mid-range, like as flippy as you can imagine right away. Yeah. So if you like that, it's perfect.
Like a meteor for the future.
Way flippy, like a beat-in meteor.
Like
it's that right away.
Okay.
Fun game for the future. Is it? It's like Scattergories. Have you ever played that game? This was a long time ago.
Yeah, with this?
Yeah, but so what we'll do is like roll a dice and it'll be like Innova. And then you have to write down molds, like, and you get like a minute to do it. And then like I'll say like Destroyer.
Like write down how many, Okay.
I'll say Destroyer.
Yeah,
then everyone goes, I had Destroyer too. So everyone has to
Yep.
check it off. But if you have one no one else said, you get a point. That could be fun.
Or we can go round
That would
table
be
like
interesting.
Innova Disc, and then whoever does
Gets
it
brain froze.
I go, then you go.
Yeah. And then you're like, I don't know, so you're out.
Yeah.
And then the next, we can do
Hawkeye.
that.
Yeah.
But we're not doing Innova. They have like 2,000 molds.
I don't have enough time for that. We'll
But
be here
Mint
until midnight.
or like ThoughtSpace, those could be fun. Anyways,
Animus.
got off topic. But so Mason
Long
Ford.
story short, I was just curious of like Mason Ford going there, where I don't know of really anyone else, and I don't know how many times I've played with players who, and I don't really ask players all the time unless they're a buddy of mine where I'm like, oh hey, what'd you throw right there? But for the most part, like curious. I don't really feel like I see them, but it also might just be kind of a marketing thing. Maybe they must be massive in Texas if they're signing a big name player. Yeah.
So
and
there's
I'm sure they have an
actually a
incredible
tie.
Texas scene.
It's kind of goes way back. But Guy Boyan he's not the owner, but he's like the owner described him as the right-hand man at Mint. I want to say he was up here in New England for a period of time before he moved to Texas. So New Englanders knew him. And then, so I knew who he was, at least familiar with the name. And then I saw him do this with Mint. So they've been doing it for a while. I think I even saw like they had like a warehouse fire this last year. I think I followed them close enough to even see that, where like all of their discs got like covered in like soot, like, so like they had to like do, I hate to say it, like a fire sale. Like they had to be like, I was like, I don't know if it's respectful or not, but like they had to do a sale, like sorry, like, but they did fundraisers for their events to help make it all back. But like, so anyways, Mint is pretty cool. Thought Space Athletics is pretty cool. The name, like I said, their artwork stands out. But you want to know, like, if you go look at the PDGA, and I did this with my boys the other day, I would love to figure out where this graphic is again. They showed how many companies made or produced disc golf molds, and I think it was over 60 something, right? Or it was 100. It was really high.
It's a lot.
There were so many that it made the pie chart pretty hard to read. Which, like, I'll call it a good thing to make it hard to read. Like,
I gotcha.
I'm trying to find it, but I can't seem to. I would like to. Well, go ahead.
I just think it's really incredible that we have so many small brands. I mean, we're always going to have our big brands, your Innova, Discraft, Lattice 64, MVP's getting there. But to have all these small brands really popping up and just having kind of these niche markets, like, it's really cool. And Dot Space has done a really good job in New England, being really the only manufacturer, like retailer with their own discs. In New England, kind of a stake to call it home. And I was talking to Matt about this. With Simon leaving Discmania, a lot of people in New England like Discmania because they like Simon, and Simon represents New England now. So, whether Discmania stays as a popular play, or, MVP with the MVP Open, Thought Space being out of here, all these other ways you can kind of like dominate a region. It's really cool to see. And Mint and Lone Star kind of having this battle right now in Texas, which was long dominated by dynamic discs. Really which
is
cool
always
to see all
funny
over the country.
To me.
Yeah.
The presence that DD has down in Texas area.
The plains got to stick together, right? The plain states.
So I found the pie chart, and I don't remember if I said 68 or not, but 68 was correct. And that was companies, disc golf manufacturers, molds that were approved by different brands. So like Thought Space, obviously MVP makes it for them, but like that 68. So my wife the other day was like how many like teams could there be out there or whatever? I'm like, there's 68 different disc golf manufacturers at some level there. I got to read some of these names to you. I'm not going to go through all 68, but some of these are pretty interesting. Chumba, Disc Troyer. So like not Destroyer, Disc
Troyer.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Disc Troyer. Say that 3 times fast.
Destroyer.
You're gonna say Dick eventually. I'll tell you that.
Disc Troyer. Fourth Circle. Interesting. Hummingbird. Lucky. I'm gonna throw my Lucky disc. Odd Grip.
That's
what a name.
Weird.
That's the name?
Odd Grip. And it's all caps. ODDGRIP. All caps. One word. Odd Grip.
That was the grip odd.
Trash Panda. We've heard a little bit about them. We've yet to line up an interview with, I think Jesse is his name, right? Yeah.
Jesse.
So, Wingman, XCOM. That's interesting. I'm going to get into a few others here. These are small percentages here, but Reptilian. Nice.
I've heard of them.
Really?
They make the Stego, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That like ridiculous.
Pie Pan.
Yep, I've heard of them.
People, like, you're starting a business in disc molds, right? And are you the type of person that's going to get like witty and like punny? Or are you the type of person who's like, I'm going to be like different, like make a word up? This company said, let's go with perks and recreation. Like,
oh my goodness.
It's weird. Perks and recreation.
Well, it's like Parks and Rec.
I know, but
Yeah.
Parks
I
and
would say so.
Recreation.
Yeah.
Like it's actually RE-creation, recreate. So maybe it's a recycling thing. Goliath. That sounds like you could have something down there, Nick. You could have the brand.
That's what
Goliath.
my course is called.
Yeah, so we could get a disc brand down there. Obsidian. This is okay. I'm not giving you them all. I'm skipping over at like 50 of them. But Noob Sim House.
What?
Wow.
Noob Sim House, like
That's so
SIM
funny.
house. Okay. Let me just see if there's a few others here. The name All for Frisbee. Okay, and then I think that's probably the only ones worth like shouting out besides everything else you know. So, anyways, 68 different manufacturers or mold companies
Wait,
and
hold
224
up.
different discs approved.
Someone in the chat said, I own an odd grip disc, half grippy, half slippy. Like, I don't know if they're joking or not. Is
looking
it
at their
actually like
Instagram
half and
now.
half?
Yeah.
If they're like actually being serious, they're like, I actually have an odd grip disc and it's half grippy, half slippy. That's funny. Or if they're just playing with it. I think they're like, I have.
Yeah, they might be playing with it, but if that's true, that's wild.
This is it's a disc where like the overmold is under it. I've seen it.
Odd grip.
It's odd. It's like it's like
I still not.
does that make sense? It's like the
So
rubber's
the flight
under it.
So the flight wing is the separate material. The flight wing itself.
No,
No,
it's like MVP, but
the under.
the rubber's under it.
Yeah, but the base one goes over the edge and goes around the edge. But then when the underside, where your fingers are gripping on a backhand drive, you have your 4 fingers where those fingerprint is the overmold part. It's a different mold.
It's
Here's what Ben was showing us.
Okay, awesome.
That's wild.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting things coming out there, and I'm not gonna lie. For a period of time, probably 10 years ago, I was trying to be like the whole like next Shark Tank idea for disc golf. I was like, man, we need a stamp on a disc that like shows you different grips. Like put your finger here, or a disc that like just lines your hands up.
Like how to do a fan grip, how to do a power grip, how to do a putting grip or something like that.
Yeah, that's what. And
it's like,
but that's not like
the
an
GT,
idea
right?
You can trade
from Discraft.
License.
Well, yeah, the Banger GT has a thumb track in it. Other discs, I think Latitude used to make, is it the Cenis and the Spike used to have thumb grips on them. When I used to putt with them, I used to putt with the Spike.
Wasn't there a Juju? I remember that back in the day. That the thumb, not a track. It was like a thumb indent, started closer to the rim, and then it got farther away from the rim, almost in a teardrop shape. So like you could choose where you wanted your thumb to be.
I've seen that.
Those things don't last. Like, remember the dimpled disc I gave you, Nick? Like the golf ball.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah. The one with the cool stamp on it. What was that?
I want to say it was would Inferno have been right? Because I did like a fire stamp on there, but it might be. What would it
so is that like a gateway, or I thought it was always a lightning disc? But
I'm gonna see if there's a chance I could find it. I don't know if I could.
I've seen a video on it.
I'd be curious if I could still even throw that.
Honestly, I don't know what it would be.
Dimple.
Quest, maybe?
Dynamic disc.
Oh, yeah, it might have been Quest.
Oh, I think
made by Gateway, but it was branded
Nick.
by a different company.
Raging Inferno.
Dion Arlen. Dion Arlen says Inferno, made by Gateway, but it was branded by a different company. And if
Raging
Dion says
Inferno.
it's true.
Quest.
Raging Inferno, though.
I'm going to take his word.
Quest AT or something. Quest AT. So,
okay.
That was like one of the first discs
Raging
I gave
Inferno,
you, Nick.
I don't know.
That was one of the first. Here, Nick, throw this one. I don't throw it, but you can.
Yeah. I think it was like the Inferno, a nuke. Yeah.
Speaking of discs, though.
Yeah.
I will say, hey, Statbando has a new disc is wrong. New
collab
disc drop. Yeah. Coming soon. Not saying what it is yet. But it's not weird grips, not weird thumb tracks, but is a disc that's you see less often.
We got to make one that like you throw a Statmando on, like you throw it and it spins the right RPM. You can like read a cool stat or something.
Oh, that'd be cool. Well, yeah, there's also the ones that are in oh my goodness, what's it called when you pitch something and people pay money for it? Why am I blanking on that name?
Like Shark Tank. You pitch
Kickstarter.
Something. Okay,
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
There are the Kickstarter ones where they have the tracking sense in molded into the disc.
This is what you need to do with Statmando. Ready?
And we're not developing those, but would love to work with that and come up with cool stuff.
This is your next stamp for Statmando is an erasable scorecard as the stamp. And so people can keep track of their round with the disc that they're probably throwing. So put it on like a Zone or a Buzz or, whatever famous disc from whatever company is someone's favorite disc. Would be an awful idea, but hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, just write it on there. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Dude, this is going back into this segment of like ideas that are cool, but are probably pretty bad. Like, this is pretty bad. I don't even think it's cool, but I just thought of it. Now that I'm getting way off track here, people, I'm sorry, but like, what about a disc that you could throw, and if you hit an obstacle, like a tree or like a rock, it releases like a skunk smell, like just like that fart spray.
Well, that's
you guys had no idea where I was going.
Yeah, like, no one's stealing it. You'll always be able to find it.
And you don't want to hit a tree. You're like, bro, I can't hit a tree with this thing. We're just gonna leave it there. Like,
or a disc that is like layered like a jawbreaker. So every time you hit a tree, it's like skims off.
It loses its life like a cat. It's got like 9 lives.
After 18 holes, it just dissolves into nothing. And so you have to consistently buy them. Brilliant technique or brilliant ideas.
No, so now one other idea, since we're on it a little bit. I told Ben this during the round the other day, and it was so hard to communicate it that it's probably not good to share here. But like, I was like, what if in the future there's like robot arms like attached to the top of the basket, and like it becomes like a multiplayer sport. So like, Nick, you can have a partner playing with you who has the controller. Okay. So like, if you throw your disc anywhere in the proximity of that basket, that guy can remote his robot hands to like grab it and like help put it into the basket. Like, that's cool.
So you just want to play disc golf can jam.
Yes.
So you just want to make disc golf easier, Matt.
Yeah, no,
gotcha.
because here's the harder part. You also have another robot arms on there. That's the opponent. And they're like trying to slap your
trying to play
away.
defense.
Yeah. Okay. But in all seriousness, I've thought about that for Ultimate Frisbee. Have you ever played Ultimate Frisbee?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like very, very, very casually.
Besides the fact if you're not in shape, it's horrible. It's actually very fun. It's actually
it
very
is a fun game.
But
that's why I haven't
thought
played
about
in 5 years.
Hybrid disc golf can jam. Or not can jam, hybrid disc golf Ultimate Frisbee. And here's how I thought of it. You use the Ultimate Frisbee, but your goal is a basket instead of an end zone. But the way I've thought this through a few times. You actually have like a circle 1 or a circle 2. So like circle 2 would be like the distance from which you can throw from. You can't get closer, let's say, than a circle 2, okay? Something like that.
So it's kind of like handball mashup too.
Yes, but circle 1, up to circle 1, you can have a goalie. So like there's someone actually that can get in there, like a keeper, if you will. They can't get closer than that, but they're blocking these shots. So to get a goal, it's 360 degrees. You would have to throw your Frisbee to the other side, and then they'd have to like whip it in wicked quick, right?
Matt, you're onto something here. And I gotta say, somebody's tried this before
outrageous.
too.
It's such a cool idea.
That's a great idea. Very creative. There's no way that this is the first time someone ever thought of this. Someone had to have tried this before.
And you do 2 end zones.
Should absolutely
so you still
try this.
Yeah, you still have like Ultimate, but it's like that's your end zone instead of an end zone. We got to try it.
We got to try it. That sounds cool.
That'll be our next video.
The problem is
not
we
our
need
next
about
one. Let me get into a little bit better shape.
Same. Give me about 18 months and then.
Okay. Because by that point we'll forget about it, and there we go.
I've been in the gym, y'all.
Yeah.
All we're doing is giving you the extra
Someone goes,
content.
Matt reads Harry Potter once. Makes Quidditch for disc golf.
Dude, yeah, Quidditch for disc golf. Okay.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, sometimes, guys, we shut down the show and then we hang out on the call for like another who knows how long talking about random things.
Yeah.
So we're going to act like we shut down the show right now. And we're going to take these next 10 minutes to talk about the things that we won't talk about on the air. So, guys, we're not on air.
Okay.
What did you think about that Eagle interview?
That was crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how Simon is going to.
Good one.
I heard that
too. But in all seriousness, that was a good interview from a perspective of a teammate. And we said this already, most intrigued by, it's a marketing thing. It's UC. It's already UC saying, Eagle, we got some good ideas. Like we're gonna
stay.
Yeah, please stay.
Please stay.
But let's just do it for like a minute. Where did your mind go with that? Mine was immediately like, okay, players. But then I was like, no, it's not players. It's something else. It's something else that's creative that he can control. He can't control people coming to play for Discmania.
For the aces, you're saying?
Yeah, like he can't be like, oh, I need some aces, so I'm just gonna go get people and like have them pay them. Like they'd have to choose to go there, and the player would have to be available and good. So
yeah,
I don't think it's players. Am I wrong in that thought process? Like it's something else.
I think
it's not discs either.
I think in general there could be one or two more players that signs kind of something big. I mean, Gavin Babcock, excuse me, can't speak. Gavin Babcock, I think was an awesome move to Discmania. I think he showed some really good skills last year out on the Pro Tour. He's a wicked likable dude. Enjoyable to be around. He's a little bit slow on the disc golf course, but hey, that's all right. But no, other than that, I thought that was a huge pickup. But
Anthony Barella, the chat's coming in hot.
That's a crush boy for you.
Oh,
there could be. I think Aces up this. Like there are enough players left that if Discmania swooped up all of them, it would be a really big move. But Aces up my sleeve, it seemed bigger than that. Like Anthony Barella or like Paige Shue, Valerie.
So you're thinking players.
But Aces up.
Think
Aces
outside
up
the
my
box.
Sleeve.
Think outside the box. Like
it seems something you wouldn't expect.
UC's coming up with a smartphone, like it's specific smartphone for disc golf.
Players. What
if it is players, I'm expecting it to be someone that we didn't think was on the move, didn't think was available.
Yeah.
Going there, and if it's not players, like maybe it's like an event base, like
yeah.
Well,
we just heard that 2024 Worlds isn't like just Discmania would be the big sponsor of that event, being European Open. Maybe it's 2025 Worlds there, but that's not an Aces up the sleeve. So like,
but that would make a huge.
I'm unsure.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not doing 2025 bids right now. I don't think.
No, that's why. That's why it doesn't make sense to me yet.
I did forget to ask the Eagle this, and I totally meant to. With Paul releasing his schedule, talking about I think the 7-week stint in the European area of kind of doing a little bit of a Euro tour. I know Eagle is very fond of going over there. Very much enjoys the scene. Has a lot of fans over there, especially being a Discmania player. I forgot to ask him how much big traveling he's doing this year, which. Eagle, if you are still listening, type it in the chat. If not, I'm sure I'll see you sometime soon and I'll get the answer to that. But yeah, exactly. I don't know. Aces up the sleeve. Who's their best FPO player? Ella Hansen. Currently that we know that she's potentially still sponsored by them. Other than that, who's another big player right now that's even kind of for sale in a sense?
Handley, did she announce where she's going yet? I think Holland.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. But that's Holland Handley to Discmania. That'd be pretty cool.
She's a crush girl.
She crushes.
I mean,
her and Ella are also.
Her and Ella would
friends.
be the crush girls. You get the crush boys, and then who gets promoted to being the crush boy? Do you kill the name Crush Boy?
Valerie Mandahano.
Yeah. Not much of a crusher like Ella and Holland.
No, but they don't need the crushers. That would be big. Is that an ace up their sleeve?
Potentially. This is the fun part of us just. This is the fun part of us just.
Yeah, this is the little after
we're
show.
offline.
Yeah, what's the whole speculation aspect?
Wait. Is it maybe just a disc release?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Oh, Eagle saw in the chat. He said PCS plus European Open for sure. Maybe a promo tour in Iceland. Awesome.
Ooh.
Thank you so much, Eagle.
Thanks,
I very much appreciate you answering that.
Okay, but now, so
Eagle, what are the aces up the sleeve? Because
I'm getting off track here because
the aces up
it's
their
a
sleeve
Simon
is
thing.
to say they have some, and then we talk about it, and the marketing world goes crazy.
Simon has the P1 Ace, P1X. I don't think Discmania has made that since they made the switch to being their own manufacturer.
Sorry.
Do they come out with a disc called the Ace?
But that would be like after Simon leaves, like
no,
that would be tough. I don't see that happening either.
This is my idea. Genius marketing play by Discmania. Simon announces he leaves. And then he resigns. What? How do we not think of this? Holy crap. That's the
I'm not gonna lie. If someone did that just because just because like that'd be, you know, kind of a funny April Fool's joke, but because it's happening right now, that would actually be one of the funniest things. Dude, would people laugh, like we're laughing about that? Would people laugh at that or be super pissed off? Because that would be, dude, that would be the biggest cash grab. Seeing one of your top players is leaving, everyone just buys a bunch of discs, and then they're like, oh, by the way, I'm coming back.
Today, yeah.
Dude, it would just, I'm thinking through like actually imagining hearing that news, and the disc golf world would literally,
dude, it'd be on fire.
It'd be broken,
on fire.
Like,
yeah, straight up.
I could see players doing that. I really could. I can't see Simon doing that. But that would be,
he could have regrets. He could have regrets, and he's like, is there a clause in there that's like, hey, I can reconsider after 6 months? I doubt it, but.
Dude, that would be hilarious. Well, could you imagine, you know, picking up a sponsorship? Like, let's say Ben goes to some random company, okay? And then midway, let's say Ben's one of the top 5 players in the world. And then midway through the year, is just having the worst season, can't jive with it. And he's just like, dog, F this. I'm going back to my other sponsorship. Like that would literally be the craziest. That would be the craziest thing to happen in disc golf if like a top 5 player did that. That would be insanely awesome, I think.
Okay,
it's a good marketing play. But
thank you,
Simon
Ryan Hunt.
Wins
by the
4
way,
events last year.
Ryan Hunt super chatted us, and he's trying to help us.
Appreciate it, Ryan.
Get to the likes that we need for the algorithm. Appreciate it.
Simon wins 4 events. He switches to some other company this year. Like you're saying, Nick, goes like 4 months in and just like 50th place. 50th. I don't think this is gonna happen, Simon. Simon's incredible with whatever disc he has.
Let's say Simon Mando a little love. Dion says Simon goes to a small market company and it's gonna be bought out by Discmania.
That's it.
That's an ace up the sleeve.
Yes.
Oh.
Imagine that. Well, like, that one would be a weird one.
Simon
People
to
would be more mad.
And then Discmania buys Thought Space.
People would be more mad at Discmania, I think. I don't know. That would be really rough.
Yeah.
So, anyways, good thought.
That's funny.
Okay. Now riddle me this to kind of talk a little bit more realistic with it. Last year during the 2022 season, Cole Verdolin signed with EV7, and then midway through the season dropped EV7. Now Cole isn't as big of a caliber player as we're talking about right now, but let's say Simon went to Innova. Okay, just a random company. Simon signs with Innova. 2 years down the road, let's say he signs a 6-year contract. 2 years down the road, Simon is just playing the worst disc golf he's ever played. And like, would that be crazy news of being like, the money's not worth it, I got to go back to Discmania where I feel like I'm actually playing well?
And Discmania,
you know what I mean? Like,
goes $200,000.
Yeah. But,
which I don't know what he's making now. I'm just saying, like, in the world of what he deserves, I think it's higher than 200,000. That's my only point there. Don't read it.
Yeah. Oh, someone said crazy idea. KJ to Discmania. You know, we haven't really talked about KJ too much in the last few months. Kevin Jones for everyone. Kevin Jones didn't have the season that was super rememberable of us talking about consistently on the show. Had a couple good finishes, but nothing like he's done in years past, I would say. Contract wise, what is he on? Is he on like a 4-year contract? A 2-year? Is he on a...
I'm pretty sure it's multi-year.
Okay.
It's multi-year.
Right. Yeah.
Because KJ, okay, so someone just said KJ got a multi-year contract last year. All right, cool. Then if that's the truth of it, then I don't know how to talk about it.
They give him a multi-year deal and then other players walk.
But Simon wasn't done with his deal either, from what we know publicly.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Well, okay, here's a crazy thing.
Ricky wasn't done with his deal.
Let's make the hypothetical about KJ, but it could be about a number of players who have released 2 to 5 to 10 discs under a brand's under a specific brand. So I mean, we see plenty of players doing this, but KJ has like the Reverb and at least one other one. I know of the Reverb.
The Distortion.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, what happens to those discs when he leaves? Like, we saw like Discmania have this whole big thing where know,
I think
a whole buyout and then making it themselves. But for a player, you have to expect that those discs, they're just gone.
Well, what I would assume is that Prodigy owns the mold for it, and so they would just change the name and then get that PDGA approved,
like Innova did with Phantom Sword and whatnot.
Exactly. So I don't think any of these players own the name. I mean,
the
only, because I'm not really, I don't know at all how it works with either Paul or Kevin and how their company. Same thing with Kale. Kale has the Shadowfax
Strider.
The what?
Falcor
Strider
and
is one I know.
The Strider, and then what's his
Falcor.
distance driver?
Falcor has been
The Falcor.
Steve
Okay,
Falcor.
three awesome. Yeah, three awesome names. Especially the
and
Strider. I just think it's a
artwork's
sick name.
incredible. I haven't picked up one yet, but I want to.
Like let's say Paul McBeth retired tomorrow and just said, "Hey,
he?
I am done playing
Start the
disc
rumor.
golf exclusive. Done playing disc golf. I'm retiring tomorrow." What happens to the PM line of discs? Do they just get branded into something new? Do we call the Athena the,
Yes,
Kratos or
they can.
stuff like that? You know what I mean?
When he left Innova, the McPro branding went away.
It turned into the Galactic.
Yeah, that's actually a baseline.
Well, I can tell you
Not
because
Galactic.
my kids play for Innova.
Yeah.
The McPro AVRs, more or less, not exactly, but turned into the Tour series.
The Tour, yeah.
The plastic. So like they can shift it, rebrand it. I'm curious, and I think it's what you're saying, Evan. Like Simon talked about in his video, like I won't be able to like have my discs, like as in the artwork or the disc, and then he said his logos. And I think that technically Discmania owns the logos or whoever made them, but
That's
like the Simon Lizotte on the hat.
Yeah.
But the other part of me goes, and this is what Eagle even said. So like, well, Eagle didn't say this. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he said like he alluded to Simon and UC are still friends. He even said, he's like, I can tell you this much, like they're still talking. And oh man, business is business. I get it. Can you imagine if Simon's like, so like, can I have the logo? And UC's like, nope. Like it's business, but like they're still friends. Like that would be super, super hardcore. At least give Simon a chance to buy it out if that was the case. Like give him a chance. Be like, I'll sell it to you at a good price or something. But like, yeah, I don't know. Does he have his logos or not? Interesting.
Well, like that's the tough thing with Discmania helping him out a lot of the times along the way. I'm assuming is they probably cover the whole cost for the logo. So and now it grows into this whole thing. It's really tough. Where I'd assume the newer ones, and like let's say Paul McBeth, I would assume that's probably his logo.
Yeah,
I mean, it can maybe
I don't
say,
think Discraft made that for him.
I would if Paul McBeth all of a sudden left to go to a different company, he could keep the logo. It's probably all player to player and how big the player is, and if they put their own money into it or not.
Well, we need to have our real after show where we talk about the things that everyone else doesn't know.
Exactly.
No, not really.
We're going to talk about where Simon's going.
But I will say, and I've
sign
already
up for our
said it.
Patreon.
Yeah, they're going to look for it.
Or just send me cash and I'll tell you.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Venmo Nicholas-Carl-1.
I still don't know where he's going.
Send it over.
Request it instead. Don't tell him and see if he messes up.
Yeah. I mean,
besides for that.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
Besides
really
for just all the speculation going on, I mean, I can only imagine that in the coming weeks, the tour starts just a little over a month and 2 weeks. So let's say six or 7 weeks.
All Stars is like 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks away.
Okay, so 4.5 weeks. Eagle said he was going out to Goat Hill. That's about a month away. We're about to get into the heavy season of disc golf. Super excited for it. Can't wait to watch live disc golf. I'm not going to be playing as much on the road this year, so it's going to be great to have the DGN subscription. But yeah, just everything's. It's funny. The off season, in a sense, feels so short sometimes, and because the season feels so long. But I'm just super excited to get back to covering.
Yeah,
just the players
off-season,
winning and stuff like that.
The off-season,
I mean, overreacting because Simon with his new manufacturer wins again, or someone comes in 50th, and they're like, "Are they going to have a bad season?" That's the fun stuff.
I mean, this is one of the things is Paul was coming off such an incredible career with Innova, winning 5 world championships, right, 5 in a row, yeah, and then No, 4 in a row.
Wait, what?
Excuse me, 4 in a row.
Won 4 in a row.
When Paul, that's where I was getting confused.
As Paul's best friend,
on.
I would know.
Yeah, exactly. 4 in a row. And then 2016, 17, 18, getting second place. And then coming into 2019, switching completely new sponsorship, completely different types of plastic, discs, all that. I'm just really curious to see the season that Simon is going to have when he signs with. I just wanted to make it a little bit hype.
Did you mute your mouth?
I wish.
Honestly, I didn't say it.
Yeah, I didn't even try to lip sync.
I held myself.
Rewind it because you can.
Rewind it. I said it. What I had just said, you could spell out the manufacturer's name and everything that I had said. So
zoom in on the screen behind Nick, and you can see it on one of the tab icons
on the computer. right there. It says it.
Guys, decipher my hands.
Well,
this is where he's going.
Should I just type it out?
He's committing to you.
Anyways, I think this is a good time to plug in before the season starts on February 4th. I'll say I mean, Statmando, it's going to be hosted on the Nick and Matt Show channel, is going to have the charity trivia show. It's a trivia show, kind of like you're going to a local bar and having a trivia night. We're going to have contestants on who will be answering the questions and will win money to fully donate to charity. 100% of the winnings by each of the contestants will go to a charity of their choice. It'll be super exciting. We'll nerd out on some fun trivia. It's not going to be like crazy nerdy stats. I joked about their nerd out. It's going to be a ton of fun. Anyone with some disc golf knowledge can enjoy it, learn some things, and also get some questions right. And it'll be a good time hanging out here on the Nick and Matt Show channel.
Very cool.
Hell yeah.
Charitable, fun, informational, disc golf. Can't get better than that. And it'll be here on this channel, which is really awesome as well. Thanks to Statmando for considering us that platform. I saw somebody in the chat. We're a little over time now, but he goes, if you play this podcast backwards, it reveals who Simon is going to. Listen to it backwards at the 13th minute when Eagle says. In all seriousness, guys, it's exciting. The off season many thought was going to be boring. It was not boring and still not boring. There's still more announcements to come. I was trying to say this 6 weeks ago. Like, this is, I think, knock on wood, I don't know. It's the future of disc golf. I feel like we're going to start seeing players, and it's going to start trickling down further down the road to where top 25 are going to be these valuable. Long story short, this is exciting. I think it will continue to be that way. We appreciate everyone who joined the show live tonight. In fact, there's still more right now than we have on average on most of our evenings. So tonight's show was hopping.
Appreciate that very, very much.
The
everyone.
likes, everything here.
Thanks
we
for
really
sticking around too.
Yeah.
But let me, to those who are sitting here right now, I'm teasing out to you, and I'm going to do a wink, wink. But when and if Simon announces, well, we know he's going to, right? He's not just going to sit silent.
Yeah, he kind of has to, I feel like.
When he announces, I want to give you my word, like, we're going to line it up. So,
in studio.
So subscribe if you're not. I'm
flying up to Massachusetts for
You're banking
this
on
if it happens. Just kidding. I'm probably not going to do that.
Banking on it. So
yeah, exactly.
Come back for that. We will try to provide you always with, whether you consider it the best interviews or not, at least giving the opportunity for the players to say something, at the space to do that, which they have their own platforms. So we appreciate them coming here. All that being said, we're here. We did it a little over 2 hours. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Nick, you get to close us out. I feel like it's
incredible episode, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Nick and Matt Show on this wonderful Monday night. Appreciate the insight from Aaron and Eagle McMahon tonight. In the next few weeks, I think we're going to have some pretty kick-ass interviews going on. So stick around. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. Appreciate everyone liking the video tonight. I know we had a lot of people, and a lot of people took the few seconds just to like it. That really does help us out. To anyone that's just supported us over the years now at this point, thank you very much for your love and support. It's been an awesome ride. Can't wait to improve and just do incredible things with everyone in the future. So tell someone you love them this week. We'll catch you in the next one.
That's right. Nick, you're awesome. Ben, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.